Okay, so today's tutorial. It's been quite a while since I did any of these videos, but this was a request from someone to help see if I could actually replicate this effect. So you can see as I scroll, this image here gets wider, larger. Let's just say larger already, and then it shrinks again. So I'm not really going to do everything, I suppose. Probably just going to do the effect, the scaling effect, like this scale up effect to up to this point. So yeah, I'm not going to do as it has to scale down again. So let's see how we can actually get that done. I'm not going to design the same thing like this, but I'm just going to show you how you can actually like create this scaling effect. It may not be perfect because um, Figma has its limitations, but it's going to be workable. It's going to be workable. So let's get started. So I'm going to create a frame. Already created a frame already. I'm going to call it viewport. So all my websites are going to scroll inside of this viewport area. If you're familiar with my tutorials, you should know that I always use a 16 by 9, a frame that's of a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. The size I prefer using is 1440 by 810. So this 1440 by 810 translates into is still on that sits perfectly on the 16 by 9 aspect ratio. So the next thing I'm going to do, I am going to start by creating a component. Yeah, I'm going to start by creating a component first. Okay, maybe not a component per se. Let me just write something so that, because as you can see, this is the hero section. As you scroll down, the image starts to get the video here starts to get bigger and bigger. So that's the kind of thing I want to go for. Okay, so I want to just create like a basic hero section for myself. I'm not going to make it too fancy. So let's just write something, text, ideas. Let's do the true and tried we are a creative design studio. A creative design studio. Okay, so this works. This works. Again, like I said, I'm not going to go too fancy. So I'm just going to just have just this text and then move on with the design itself. So I'm going to go for, let's go for Noe Montreal. I already have that font. It's a paid font, but then you can download the test version. So I'm going to type PP. Okay, PP Noe Montreal, and then I'm going to just tweak the line height a bit. I'm not being too particular here. I'm just going for what looks okay to my eyes. So I think something here should be fine. Let me do 60. Okay, 60. And then somewhere around 52 or so. Okay, it's okay. This works. So this is going to be my hero section. It's not fancy. It's not meant to be. So let me just do bold as well. And then maybe tweak the text. I mean, I know this is just a test version, but then regardless, I still want to try and make it like look decent. So I'm going to just tweak the letter spacing a bit. Okay, so I think this works. I think so. Let's do 88 percentage. Okay. You know what, let's just do the same 60. Okay, this works. This should work. I'm trying not to get into the details of trying to design um, a new hero section. So let's get to the actual work that we're supposed to do. So I want to create this section that has the image. I want to create it as a component on its own. So I'll make this section here a component, and then I'll add like a trigger to it to make sure that when my mouse hovers over the area, it starts scaling up. So I'm going to just get started with that now. I'm going to first of all, because again the image I want it to be full width. I want it to be full width. When I say full width, I want it to be full height, full width. the same as my so this is like the final state. The final state is meant to have it as full like this. So ideally, this viewport might be tricky. Might actually get tricky. So what we're going to do is view these viewports. We're going to call it not viewports. We're going to call it uh, hero section. Hero section, and then I'm going to frame it. I'm going to frame selection, and then call it viewports. Okay, so you can see that the hero section inside of the frame. So I'm going to this viewport. I think I want to make it auto layout, just to make my so I don't have to like I am ordering things myself. So let me just the new Figma layout actually is kind of tricky to find things, but here you have use auto layout here, so you can just press it, and then it applies an auto layout to this place. Make sure that there's no what do you call it? There's no horizontal padding or vertical padding. I think I'm also going to remove the spacing. I don't think I necessarily need it for now. So yeah, the hero section. I already have my hero section done. I'm going to duplicate it. So kind of create another section down. So this section is going to be called image section. I should have left that section. But yes, here I'm going to delete text, obviously. I don't need it. Then at the hero section, I'm going to delete the. So you can see I have like a basic. Okay, another thing I want to do to viewports is I want to actually lock the height, because the viewport is meant to have a fixed height. It's not meant to scale with the design itself. So I'm going to change the height to 810. Like I said, 1440 by 810 gives you like a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. So I could turn on clip content. You not see the content that outside of it. So I also want to go to prototype and then change the scroll behavior, change overflow to vertical, so that the things inside can scroll vertically. So let me also play it until so you can see what I'm actually doing. So keep in mind we're going to recreate this scaling and scale up effect. That's what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so you can see as I'm scrolling up, I get to the next section, which has the image. There's the image section. So I'm just going to focus on just these two sections alone. So let's get started with the image section. So let me turn off clip content again, and then here I'm going to Control C. That's Control C, and then click outside, then paste it somewhere. So I want to turn this image section into a component. So I turn it into a component, and then I replace this one with it. So just ignore this is going to be replaced at the end of the day. So what I want to do now is I want to go inside and change this rectangle. Let's call it image. Okay, let's call it image. Yeah, so the next thing I want to also do is I don't think I want to create a bunch of versions right now. I would have done that, but then I want to explain the logic I'm going to do, because Figma, like I said, Figma actually has limitations. So what I want to do is that I want to make it so as I want to create like, what do you call it? I want to create rectangles. So invisible rectangles. I'm going to call it invisible. So you think of it like there's an invisible rectangle here, and as the user is scrolling on your Figma page, and then the mouse hits here, it triggers the image to scale up a bit. And then when I get to the next rectangle, it triggers the image to scale up even more, and so on and so forth. That's the only trick I actually found to creating this effect, the way it is replicated here, or closest to the way it is replicated here as I code. So I'm going to just start doing that right now. So I'm going to just duplicate this image. So I want to create 5 variations. You will see, I think I'm trying to explain my thought process at the beginning, so I think it's going to be complicated. So what I want to just do is I want to create it, and then you see the final results so that you can understand where I'm actually headed to. So what I want to do is just create this one and then call it, duplicate the image rather, duplicate it and then call it, what do you want to call it? Call it trigger area. Okay, let me call it trigger area. So it has a more, is it called comprehensive name, or I don't really know what to call it, but yeah, I'm going to call it trigger area. And then I'm thinking of the most efficient way to do it. So I want to auto layout it. Do I want to auto layout it now? Okay, I want to duplicate it again. Okay, so I have 2 now. So I'm going to select both of them and then press Shift A to auto layout. So I'm going to call this one trigger areas. So let me just call it trigger areas. Okay, and then I'm going to make the height to be the same as the image section. You can see it's breaking the box, obviously. So you can scale it down. Okay, let me also change the trigger area. Let me change their color to, let me change the first one to, let's say, red. Okay, red, let's just change to red. And then the next one to something like green. You can't see it because it's out of the frame, obviously. So let me turn off click content. So you can see this is the trigger area 1, it's the trigger area 2. So what I want to do is the trigger areas, these general trigger areas, I want to cap the height to the same height as the image section. So you can see it's the height here now is, instead of hog content, it's now fixed. So the fixed height is 810. So that's that. Then the next thing I want to do is click inside and then select this trigger, these ones that are written trigger area. Like I'm calling trigger area. Let me just call them triggers. Just call them triggers. Trigger. Okay. I'm going to go here because the height is already set to fixed. I'm going to change it from fixed to fill container. So I actually like fills the container. I don't want to have to create each one by myself and scale them myself. So I want to just create it like this. So the next thing I want to do now is to duplicate it. Now you have two more. I'm going to, so you can see I have two more. I actually moved it down. When I duplicated it, just created two duplicates. But because they are close together, you can't see that it's a new duplicate. So I'm just going to press down on my keyboard to move it down. So that's that. So I'm going to create a fifth one. So this is 4, this is 5. So this is 5 trigger areas. So I'm going to, it means that the image is going to scale 5 times. To create a more smooth experience, you can actually like create multiple trigger areas. But because of this tutorial, I don't want to spend too much time having to create having to prototype multiple triggers. So let's just make do with this one. Let me see if this thing is recording. Okay, it's recording. So I have 5 trigger areas. So as the okay, I've not gotten to the point where I need to explain better. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate the entire thing downwards. Okay, duplicate the entire thing downwards. Duplicate a. Okay, no, not yet. Let me just duplicate one first, and then I'm going to for now we're going to hide the trigger areas. Let's just hide them. Viewport. This one as well. I'm going to hide the trigger areas. Okay, so you only have the image that's visible currently. So what I want to do next now is that I want to start in each state of this image section. I want to create different scales. I want to scale the image down gradually. So what I want to just do is just, you can scale yours anyhow, but what I want to do is just have this as the final version. Okay, this is cool. Then here I'm going to press K on my keyboard. So K will go into scale mode, and then I can click on this option here and then press scale down by 0.575x. Okay, that's okay. So you can see that the image has been scaled down. Then I'm going to duplicate it upwards, and then I'm going to scale. Okay, click on the image again rather, and then scale it down by 0.5x. So this is 3 versions now. So you have this state, and this final state. So I'm going to duplicate upwards, and then create a version again. No, okay, I'm making a mistake. So make sure you're scaling just the image, and not the image section, the image only. So scale it down by 0.75x, and then you have that's 4, and then let's create the last one, which we're going to scale the image down again by 0.75x. Okay, so we have these different multiple states of the image being scaled up gradually. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make those triggers, we're going to link them to each state. So hovering over your mouse, when your mouse touches the first trigger area, it changes to this, touches second, changes to this, touches the fourth, changes to this, and then touches the fifth, and then changes to this. So that's how we're going to prototype them. I don't know if this makes sense, if you're starting to understand it already, but then that's actually how the process we're going to follow. So let's get started on doing that. So I'm going to select all of them, and then I'm going to just I'm going to create a component. I really don't know what the create component is now since Figma changed their UI. Okay, this is the button here. It's hidden here. If you're still using the old UI, good and fine. But for the new one, it's a bit more tricky to find things. So let me create component. Okay, create component set. Yes, that's the word. Create component set. So I'm also going to apply an auto layout to this component set. So I'm going to call it I'm going to press Shift A to apply an auto layout just to make my work easy, and so I don't have to start ordering things myself. Okay, let me just make the space between them. Let's make it 200 to give us an ample space. Okay, so I'm going to select everything now. Select into all the images, and then here, okay, what I'm going to do is just to start turning on the trigger areas again, so you can actually see what's going on. Um, Trigger areas. Okay, trigger areas. And then for the last one, trigger areas. Okay, we're good. We're good. So the next thing I want to just do is just to you can see it's telling me issue. Although this does not really matter, but I think just to make your work cleaner, you might need to start renaming things. So what you want to do is come here and then actually don't know. Okay, rename it to state two, state two, state three, state four, and then state five, obviously. State five. Okay, so we're cool with when it comes to names. You're no longer seeing that error there. So the next thing we want to do now is we want to start creating multiple versions of we want to start prototyping things. So what we want to do is this first we're going to select this first one, this first trigger here, that's this one here, and then we're going to link it to this second state. You can't see it because obviously, okay, let me do something. Let me move the images upwards in the layers panel. Let me move it up because I don't want to have a scenario where the image is blocking the triggers. Okay, so we moved everything upwards. Okay, so you can see except this one here. Okay, let's move the image upwards in the layer. So the image is now above the trigger area. So what we want to do is we want to link this trigger area here, this first one. We want to link it to this state here. But we have to do the same on all, like in all the component states. We have to make sure that here, the first one is linked here. Here, this first one is linked here. So that regardless of whatever state the person is, wherever the person's mouse touches, it always takes you to that particular state. So what we're going to do that, ideally, we'll have to link this one here, then come here, okay, then come here, link this one here, then go here, link. But an easier way to do that is just for you to just click on this one, select it, one of them, and then press this option here. This select matching layers. So it's going to select everything for you. So you can see on the layers panel, I selected all the first triggers in all the states for me, all the component states for me. So, however, one thing I think that you might want to do is actually to deselect the one that's on the states that you want to link all these ones to. You want to deselect that one. So I'm going to hold shift and then click on this one. So it's going to select it. You can see that I have this particular trigger selected on all the other component states except that one that it's going to point to. So to link them here, what I need to do is just go to prototype mode rather, and then I'm going to press interactions, press plus here, and then I'm going to set the trigger to while hovering, and then set the action to change to, and then set the property to state 2. So you can see all of them are pointing their fingers to this particular state. So that's an easier and faster and a more efficient way to work. So for the animation, you want to change it to Smart Animate. And then for let's leave that ease out, and then let's do 600. Okay, let's do 600 milliseconds. I think to make the animation even like feel more natural, because here you can see that like there's no there's no easing or easing out. It's just like growing like linearly. So let's try the linear option. So let's do linear. So 600. Okay. So let's do 600. Or let's do 600 is fine. 600 is actually fine. 300 might be too fast. So let's try 600 and then see how it goes from there. So the next thing we want to do now is we want to link all these layers back to this second one. We want to link it back to this one other. So we're going to select it here. We can select it anywhere really. It doesn't really matter. So we're going to press the select matching layers button, and it's going to select everywhere. So I'm going to just deselect it in this third state. Since I want it to lead here, I'm going to select it here, and then I'll go to prototype mode and then do the same thing again. So while hovering, action, change to property state 3. So you can see it's pointing to state 3 here. And then I want to set the animation to smart animate and then 600. And also change it to linear as well. Okay, so we're cool with that particular one. Then the next one, that's the third one. Okay, the third one is going to point you to this one. It's going to point, all fingers are going to be pointed to this particular one here. So let's do that. So I'm going to just go to select matching layers and then deselect it here. And then I'm going to go to prototype mode and then do the whole thing all over again while hovering. Change to state 4. Yes, state 4. So yeah, this is state 4. It's no longer tallying, like the numbers and the frames and the component states are no longer tallying, but I think you still get the drift. So let's do 600 again and then change it to, okay, change here to linear. So we're good on that end. And then the last one, okay, I think we made a mistake, but that's totally fine. We can delete the last trigger. So this last one here, we're going to go to design mode, select matching layers, and then select it here, hold shift, and then click here. It's going to select it. And then we'll do the same thing all over again. So go to prototype mode, interaction, while hovering, change to, and then state 4. State 5. Okay, state 5. Okay. Yes, so animation, smart animate, linear, and then 600. So we're cool on that, and that should work. So what we want to just do now, since I realize we no longer need this particular one here. I feel like there might be a problem. There might be a problem having it return. Okay, that works. It works. It still works regardless. It still works. And I think what we should have been doing, we should have been mouse. Okay, it still works regardless. It actually still works, but we might need to come back and make some changes. So let's just see how this works first, and then we might come back and make some updates to the design itself, to the prototype setup. So the next thing I want to do now, or the last thing I want to do, is to select matching layers for this last one, and then just press delete. Okay, press delete. So you can see now it's just 4 trigger areas now on all of them. So because I have already done the whole auto layout thing, it's not hard for them to just scale accordingly, scale to fill the available space. So there's no need for me to go back and do any extra work. So with this, I think we should have like a basic working prototype. So let's try it. So I'm going to copy Ctrl C this default state, and then click on this image section here, and then I'm going to press paste to replace. So you have pasted it to replace it. So let's try it. Moment of truth here. So let's just scroll. So the idea is that once the mouse cursor touches any of this section, so you assume that the mouse cursor is going to be somewhere maybe in the middle or wherever it is, at least because the trigger areas are spanning left to right. It means that the mouse has a chance of the mouse cursor has a chance of touching one of them. So let's keep scrolling. So you can see how it scales, and then scales. Okay, it doesn't scale further because there's no more area for it to scroll to. So that's actually how we're going to do this. That's how we can actually achieve this effect. So with that, I think we are good. It works, but there are some small glitches that we have to fix. So you can see if I jump here, it blinks. So I don't want that. I actually want it to scale regardless of how I move the cursor. I want it to scale gradually. So let's try a couple of things. The first thing I want to do, the next thing I want to do rather, is to add an extra space at the bottom. Okay, no, I'm going to duplicate the hero section. So let's assume this is a new section. I'm just going to have I'm going to have work. Let me just call it work. Okay, let's call this section work. Okay, and just have something. Just do some small design by adding, let's say, a number to it, 24. Let's say we have 24 projects. And then I'm going to scale it down or use a smaller size for I've seen sites do this, and that's why I'm actually doing it. So all these things I'm actually doing is not from intuition. I've seen it somewhere before, so I'm just trying to implement it myself. Although I want it to line up perfectly with the. So let's do 24. I'm not being too particular because this is just I'm focusing more on interaction here. But if I was this were my personal project, I would go in and fine tune the details. But basically, I want it to have the same height. It should start on the same point as the work itself. So I'm just going to do something. Go to this place here, and then press cap height to baseline. So you can see that it removes those extra spaces, and it has the chance to line up perfectly with the number or with the count rather. So let's just have this. Let's say here, here. Okay, let's have it in the middle. So we're not going to really flesh out this section itself, but for the sake of this design, just so we can actually still have something decent, let's still do a couple of things. So I'm going to just create a couple of boxes to have some projects in, or some fictional projects in. So fixed width, and then I'm going to change the spacing to 24, and then set the width to fill container. So not to worry, I'm going to share this file with you so you can actually go through it. But again, I'm not being too particular about the nature of the design. So let's do this. Let's do 140. And let's do the same for the height as well. Fill container. So let's just change the colors to to black. So the project is supposed to go inside of there. So let's test it out again. So that why I'm actually creating that section is just so it can there is room for the items to scroll in the viewport. So let's see again. So you can see as I'm scrolling, touch the first one, touch the second one, third, and so on and so forth. So like that's basically it. But like I said, there is a problem. So the problem is that once I leave that area, it just starts messing up. So you can see it's messing, it's acting up because I've left that area. So it's trying to return to its original state. So why it's having this issue really is actually because I set the trigger to while hovering. So while hovering it has passed multiple while hovering and it's trying to return to its original state. So that might be a bit messy. So to take care of that, and I hope this works. If not, where I have to go back and do lots of troubleshooting. But to fix that, what I can actually do is I should have done this from the beginning. But basically, I'm going to go to prototype mode. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to select all the trigger areas and try and deselect. Okay, let's start with the first one. It's long work, so select matching layers. So let's go to prototype mode, and then you can see change this hover while hovering to mouse enter. Yes, let's change to mouse enter. So yes, we're good on that end. So mouse enter means that once you get to that state, because while hovering, what I noticed that while hovering does is that once you hover into something, it plays the prototype, and then once you hover out, it like returns to its original state. But then we don't want that for this particular one. We want it to remain as it was. We actually want it to remain as it was. So let's do mouse enter. Mouse enter works for this particular scenario. So I'm going to just go to the second one, select matching layers, and then do prototype as well. Change it to mouse enter. Hopefully this works actually. I hope this works. And then the same for the third one. I think I made a mistake. Okay, I didn't make a mistake. So I'm going to go to here and then press select matching layers, and then I'm going to go to prototype mode and then change it from while hovering to mouse enter. Okay, so yeah, we're good. Then the last one, the same thing as well. Select matching layers, change to prototype mode. However, one mistake I think I'm actually making while I'm doing this, because you can see I'm not deselecting one like I was, but it's still going to work. I think it's still going to work. So let's not worry about that too much. So the next thing we want to do now is that no, I think it's still we're on the right track. So moment of truth. So let's just reset everything once more. Reload tab because I feel like it may still be messy. So let's reload the tab and see how that plays out. So moment of truth. So you can see scales up a bit, scales up a bit, scales up a bit, scales up a bit, and boom! It doesn't have that weird effect. So you can see problem solved. We don't have that issue. So uh, yeah, as you're scrolling up again, it still does the same thing. So I think we've done pretty great job. At honestly, it's just to go back now and add some, what do you call them? Add images, add content to our images, so that we can see it live in like live in action. I think that's how it said. So the last thing you want to do is to turn down the opacity of the trigger areas. So to make it so that the trigger areas do not they are not seen. Or one thing you could even do even self is to select the image section, because I actually want to give this particular section here a black background. What I would ideally have done is to change lower the opacity of the trigger areas and then turn the background of the frame to black. But you can actually disguise the trigger areas as, what do you call them? Disguise them as the background, since there's no gap between them. It's just for you to just select image section, and then you see all these selection colors here. Go and change all the colors to zero, zero. So I'm just typing 1 0, but Figma knows to fill in the gaps for me. And then I think that's about it. That's all the weird colors we have. We only had green and blue. So that's that. We don't need to change the color of the D99. That's the color of this frame here. So the last thing I want to do is to add an image. So I'm going to open on Splash. I'm going to run on Splash. So in the new Figma, this is where plugins are found. So I'm going to run on Splash. I'm going to look for. I would have preferred to use a video because I feel like a video gives you more energy. Video gives you more energy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy one of my, because this is a free plan I'm using for my personal Figma account. So I can't actually add videos because this is a free plan. So I'm going to copy a video that I've already added to a frame and paste it here. It's going to work. So what I'm going to do is just to open this particular. So this was a talk I gave recently on mastering design principles and crafting a standard portfolio. So this is a video here. Particular one is a video slide. So I'm just going to control alternate C. Control option C, I think. That's to copy property. And then I'm going to select all the images, all the sections I'm supposed to make, and then control option V. Yes, so the image video has been added. So this was how I was able to cheat. I have a work account that I can add videos on. So I add a video there and then I copy and paste it into my personal account. So it allows me have a video frame. So that's how I can actually get a video instead of a free account. So I'm going to remove the corner radius 0 and then remove the stroke that was added before, because I copied and pasted all the properties. So it copies the stroke that's here and also the roundedness and added it to my design, but I don't want that. I only want the video content. So I removed all the rounded corners and the stroke as well. So now I have a video. So let's see how it works in real time. Let's see how it works. So the sound is off. I don't really want sound because that's. So you can see the video is playing. So let's see how it scales up. Oh boy, I don't think it's going to work. Okay. So you can see it works. So the only issue I can notice, you can see, let me click. So you can see as I'm clicking, the places that actually have interactions prototyped on them, they are blinking. But this one is not blinking. That means at some point I may have mistakenly disconnected the wires that were here. So I need to go and connect them again. Because I also noticed that it was not scaling when I over here. So I'm going to just address that. So I need to come here and then I'm going to go to design, select matching layers, go to prototype and then disconnect this one and then go to mouse, enter, change to smart animate 600. So why is it not working? Okay, let's disconnect it and then reconnect it again. So mouse, enter, change to property state 2, and then animation, change to smart animate, and then linear, and then 600. Okay, so hopefully it should work. So let's just refresh, reload, just to avoid any glitches or anything. So yeah, for yours you can have an image there. You can have an image there. So let's see again. You can see the video is already playing. So let's just so yeah, it works now. Scales up a bit. Scales up with every trigger area that's been that it touches, it scales up. So that's actually what I want to create, and then it remains scaled up until I hover backwards, and then you can see it just keeps scaling down and so on. So if you want to make yours even more smooth, like you could actually duplicate the amount, like increase the amount of these trigger areas, and have this prototype, have these wires on them. That will mean that you have a lot of what's it called, lots of sections. But I mean, that's the price to pay for like a really smooth transition. But for mine, I set it so that it's only after you scroll past certain areas that you touch the trigger and then it scales up inside. So that's just how I would approach this particular one. So it works. So I think some small things I may want to play around with is I may want to play around with okay, state, reset scroll position, reset. Okay, no, these are fine. I think these are fine. So that's it. There's like the easiest solution sometimes is the is the best solution. Maybe to add more, should I use the word pizzazz to your design? You could say okay, maybe here it's on the in this state rather, it's okay. You may not probably see the effect because I mean it's mostly black on black, but you could probably like add a rounded corner here, like let's say add 0 0 0 0. Okay, no, not 0, 9 9 9 9 9. Okay, so change from 999 to, so you can see the first state. So let's just reset, reload tab rather. So you can see the effect. So you should be able to see here that it's fully rounded, and then as I scroll down, it changes. Okay, it was a black background, so you couldn't really see it. But yeah, as I scroll down, it just scales up proportionally. So I think one thing I want to do is that I noticed that it's not scaling back to its original form. Yeah, that's the problem. So I still have to play it again to see it's not scaling back, because as I hover past this, like since this is when I hover on last, and then it plays the mouse entering animation. Like there's no mouse exit animation for it to play again. So that's a problem. So what we should do is that on this in this state here, we should actually add a mouse exit animation. So just in this particular one here, because this is where it stops. You can see, and then it stops. So you can see that it doesn't go back to that rounded form which was present in the first one. So just to handle that, we need to select trigger area, the first trigger area here. We need to select it and then go to prototype and then add a wire. Just link it back to this one. Okay, and just for this particular one, because this is where we have issues with, and set it to mouse leave, and then change to property default. Okay, linear. So we're good. We're actually good. Ideally, this should work. This should should solve our problem. So let's just reload tab. Let's just reload tab and see how it plays out from the beginning. So you can see we have this. So it's fully rounded. So as we I want a particular section to pass so you can see what happens. So yeah, you can see it changes to this thing, and as you scale down, okay. So yeah, that works. So let's go back up again. Changes to this, and then so yeah, it works. It actually does work. So that's actually that. That's that for this tutorial. I think this is not up to as long as the other tutorials I normally do, but I needed to do it regardless. But we can see that it works. So for this particular work section, you can actually extend it downwards. I think someone had asked me in one of my videos that, oh, do I have to make all the sections the same height? No, you don't. You can actually extend. Each section needs to break the boundaries for this work section now. For example, to create more, you can actually extend it like this. So it doesn't mean that your sections have to be the same height. I just am using it for this particular tutorial because I mean I like hero sections. I like my hero sections covering the entirety of the viewport, And then for this particular one, we want the next section to also have full width and height as well. So that's why I'm doing it like this. Uh, but yes, this is how you can achieve this. You can also extend the sections if need be. You don't have to cage yourself to start making every section 1440 by 810. It's not the case really. So this work section can actually be really long, and then okay, I want to stop here. I can say okay, this is as much as I want to extend the section to. So with this, you are good to replicate this effect. There's a snapping effect it does, but that's only because we have like the rounded effect on the rectangle. So don't use rounded effect on yours. Don't use it. But yeah, other than that, we are good. Very good. So see you in next tutorial. If you have any tutorial requests, feel free to reach out to me, like on Twitter or LinkedIn or wherever you can find me really, and I will respond. If you have any requests for anything you want to achieve in Figma, reach out to me and I'll see what I can actually do about doing a tutorial video on implementing. So thank you very much for staying for this one. See you next time. Bye.